Hello, and welcome to Quays News. I'm Abby Carrington.
And I'm Ollie Dunkley, and here's what's coming up on the programme today. Schools are set to reopen from next week. We've been finding out more what it means for teachers.
If you were to go back 13, 14 months and take a photo and then take a photo or a video, it would almost feel like two different places, if that makes sense.
A couple and their dog are set to travel the world in an ambulance to raise money.
A Mongol rally, buy a car for like £500 and drive from London to Mongolia. I said, well, why are we just going halfway around the world? Let's go all the way.
And how many people has gained a new skill during this pandemic?
Millions of children are getting ready to go back to school. For teachers, the return to classroom becomes with challenges.
Schools are planning for mass testing of students.
Let's see what our reporter, Marcus Smith, has uncovered.
Two different teachers from two different parts of the country. Both of them are preparing to welcome students back in 4 days' time. It's a complex challenge, but what exactly does it entail? Martin Blako is the head teacher at Co-op Academy Priesthorpe in Leeds.
We've got a programme over the next just over 2 weeks for them each to have 3 lateral flow tests. So what they will do is they'll come into the building. We've got 6 testing bays. It feels like a small field hospital within a school. And we've got an army of sort of volunteers and staff who are trained to support us there. We're having one-to-one well-being interviews and meetings for every single one of our students. So if we find that they're really wobbly on the back of that first interview, we've got other specialist staff within there and other agencies we work with who can then go and have a supplementary meeting with them. If you were to go back 13, 14 months and take a photo and then take a photo or a video, it would almost feel like two different places, if that makes sense.
There's no agreed stance among scientists on whether reopening schools will speed up the spread of the virus. One draft paper from the University of Warwick concludes there is not sufficient evidence to suggest that outbreaks in schools are driving an increase in community cases. But another one from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine states that a full reopening could increase the R rate to above 1. Both papers are yet to be peer-reviewed. So what's the situation in primary schools? Tim Dells is the head teacher of St Luke's Primary School in Salford.
There is very little movement around school. So normally children would be going to and fro, different lessons, the hall, lunch. It's a busy place, school. At the moment, it feels very quiet because children are in their classrooms. They have their lunch in their classroom. They have separated playtimes. Parents have been given a designated arrival time, which means that there's never too many adults and staff and children on site in one place at the same time.
With the return now just 4 days away, the watchword seems to be caution as schools up and down the country begin to welcome their pupils back. Marcus Smith, Quays News.
It is currently Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and there are almost 3.5 million people in the UK living with an eating disorder.
Now, some people say it's still misunderstood by professionals and society. Harriet Beddoe reports.
3.4 million people in the UK alone are suffering from eating disorders, and as hospital admissions rise by almost a fifth in young people, mental health workers urge for more help. I spoke to Rachel McCrann and mental health worker Alison to find out more.
As soon as I started seeing the psychiatrist, it was always with my parents, and when he would start talking, he would get me to go on a computer and rate how I was feeling that week. And then he would stop and then he would talk to my parents, say, how has she been? What has she been doing? Has she been exercising? They would talk to them more and get it from their point of view more. And then he would make his decision on what to do. Like, I didn't actually do a lot of speaking in them sessions with him. Just as much as they have training on it, I feel like they don't have a fully understanding of what goes through your head. But I felt like I wasn't really getting sort of the emotional help that I think I needed. Obviously I could speak to my mum and dad, but it was hard because like they just wanted to make me better and they were doing everything they can, and I sort of held back from talking to them in a way because I've always hated worrying my parents. As soon as I hit a healthy weight, that was it. I didn't see anyone. They didn't check up on me. Nothing. I never had anything at all.
I'm aware of GPs receive 2 hours training on working with eating disorders. So the vast majority, so obviously our gatekeepers to the healthcare system, the vast majority of GPs know very little about eating disorders. 35% of eating disorder sufferers will be autistic, but the services do not know anything about it. All our eating disorder beds in the country are full at the moment. There is not a single bed that is available. Our health services are absolutely dire and creaking at the seams. Totally unfit for purpose.
It seems there is a clear misunderstanding by both professionals and society. Eating Disorder Awareness Week will continue to help those who are suffering and help to break the stigma surrounding eating disorders.
With an end to lockdown in sight, 2 intrepid travellers and their dog are hoping to head on a record-breaking adventure around the world.
But there's a twist. They're doing it in a converted ambulance. Our reporter Katie Morgan has been talking to them.
The Overlanding Ambulance is an organisation set up by 2 vets, Lawrence and Rachel. Their plan is to travel around the world in an ambulance, raising money for charities close to their hearts. They are taking their dog, Peggy Sue, along for the ride.
The fact it's an ambulance has sort of become, it wasn't that we set out going, we're going to do this in an ambulance. I think the journey itself to try and circumnavigate the globe or do some big journey. Both wanted to do the Mongol Rally, buy a car for like £500 and drive from London to Mongolia. I said, well, why are we just going halfway around the world? Let's go all the way around. And so that then morphed into this sort of bigger journey.
How do you think Peggy Sue's going to find the journey?
She's so chilled. A lot of the things that we're going to be doing are hiking and walks, and which the dog's obviously going to benefit from that. But there are some places, particularly as we get further round, where having a dog is going to become a nightmare, and so we'll probably take it for the first half.
Lawrence and Rachel had this trip planned 12 months ago, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, it had to be postponed. They are planning to depart from Liverpool on the 1st of June, raising money for their chosen charities.
So we decided on the Anthony Noland, which is a cancer that deals with bone leukemia. And I have a personal connection to that because that's my dad. My dad was a professor of hemo-oncology and was head of research for the Anthony Noland until he died. Yeah. And the other charity is Vet Life. It's veterinary based, and they deal with mental health. Us choosing that was, again, that's our connection to vets and a nod to try and help our friends and our colleagues and future generations of vets.
If Lawrence and Rachel complete this trip, they will win a Guinness World Records for the longest journey in an ambulance. It's almost time for them to set off for the adventure of a lifetime.
Today is World Book Day. Despite children not dressing up as their favourite book character this year, the pandemic has seen more people opening a book.
With 55.9% more children reading more now compared to pre-lockdown. George Booth reports.
Books. They've always been around and they mostly hold a wealth in knowledge. But as the youth of today has the joys of an electronic device, is reading a good old book going out of fashion? World Book Day, which is today on the 4th of March, is aiming to help people, especially the youth of the United Kingdom, to pick up a book. The organisation, which has been going since 1995, aims to give every child and young person a book of their own. As technology has developed, they have also promoted audiobooks and also their electronic learning, Author and Illustrate, to help kids grasp the English language outside of their education. In a recent poll completed over social media, 56% of people voted in favour of books being interesting. However, 64% voted against it. Lockdown could be seen as a blessing in disguise for the joy of reading. With libraries closing to help combat the coronavirus, it has seen a rise in book sales according to Nielsen Bookscan, who state 202 million books to have been sold in 2020 just in the United Kingdom. With there being an abundance of spare time for people, having a good old cuppa and sitting with a book is slowly but surely increasing again. With the library staff being furloughed in the United Kingdom, I spoke to Terence Follow, a former library employee, who has now turned his love of reading into a social media page for book recommendations.
the home. So, there's me, my team, my cat, and my woolly jumpers, and we've just got like an online book club, so we can have library banter virtually. COVID friendly, of course.
So how many people have got behind your initiative that you've set up on your book club? And is it locally, or is it more nationally, or even worldwide?
Well, there's about 38,000 people from the UK and a man in Panama.
So why not pick up the book? It's World Book Day and the weather's going to be getting better, and hopefully it might be as nice as Panama. George Booth, Quays News.
Over lockdown, many people are learning a new language.
Aurélie Detrey has been running French classes online to educate children. Tom Parker went to find out more.
I can't read that, it's in bloody Chinese.
Ever heard that phrase before?
Now, I have, and I'm sure a lot of people have too, and many people have decided to get rid of their language confusion by learning a new language over lockdown, with language apps claiming to have a usage increase of over 200%. Now, many people have either been self-studying on YouTube or learning languages through Zoom classes.
Ça va être bizarre maintenant d'utiliser l'anglais.
Bah ouais, faut que je me concentre aussi parce qu'en plus moi j'ai un accent fort en anglais alors.
Aurélie Detrey is one of the many teachers now providing French lessons to children through the CAA Gold accredited kids language franchise Kids Lingo.
So I think it's so important for them and it's never too early because learning any languages, it's like it opens a wider awareness of the world. Because I've lost some hours and I couldn't really do anything about it, I decided to open my my own business, and I found Kids Lingo franchise. So we all over the UK, and we teach from birth to 11 years old. So for example, on Fridays, I've got a baby class, which is from 0 to 11 months old. And it's just amazing.
Cameron is a student from the University of Salford studying Japanese, and he told me why he believes languages are crucial for our cultural understanding.
In that sense, it breaks down a few walls. Like, you're not like distancing yourself from other people based on their nationality or the language they speak, because you can understand, oh, I understand what this person's saying, we're practically on the same level, we're both human.
Now, the UK isn't exactly known for its push of languages, with only 23% of people knowing French, 9% knowing German and 8% knowing Spanish. However, with apps claiming an increase in sales of 50%, in a time where communication with others has been so barren, we might just be turning a corner in appreciating the multitudes of cultures that surround us. Now, whilst many of us are improving our language skills with online classes, it seems that this fella could do with a French Zoom class. Tom Parker, Quays News.
And finally, did somebody say just eat?
We've all heard the adverts, and judging by recent statistics, we've all been binging on takeaways.
But is there an economic option for a fix to junk food? Henry Archer found out more.
Did somebody say just eat? Me, get delivery like a G. See, hungry dogs gotta eat. I get mine.
Just like Snoop Dogg, the nation has increased the amount of takeaways we order during the pandemic. With many fridges looking empty, Just Eat's UK orders surged by 400% during the first lockdown. And with spam messages like this being a familiar sight for many, there's no wonder why so many people are enticed to have a takeaway. But with money being tight, what's the price for your wallet and your health in taking the economic option, a supermarket pizza? I visited the local beauty spot, Salford Shopping Centre, and browsed the aisles of Aldi. There were so many pizzas on offer, but I settled on their cheapest. The essential cheese and tomato pizza is topped with tomato sauce and a vague unnamed cheese. At a small price of just 67 pence, it's £14.32 cheaper than the similar Domino's alternative. And whilst putting it in an oven may seem like strenuous exercise these days, just 15 minutes later, I had a thing that resembled pizza ready to eat. The price per slice on this pizza is 8 pence, and each slice only has 93 calories, which is much less than the Papa John's 210 calories per slice. Though it may not be the most extravagant meal, this pizza is a cheap and quick fix, whilst also being more nutritional and actually less calorific than a normal takeaway. So when you hear that advert and fancy some junk food, why not think of your budget instead of the marketing ploy? Henry Archer for Quays News.
That's it from us.
Thank you. Goodbye.